Mrs. B, right? Might as well. I'm walking through a ghost town, y'all ain't playing my sounds. Don't tell me to calm down, don't tell me to calm down. Only time I go backwards is when I wanna moonwalk. Don't test me, my mood's wrong. Don't test me, my mood's wrong. We are who we say that we are. You were lost in the stars, and it's all from the start. Never running no pace, never on the right page. But we still read that book, and we still run that race. Ay, Mississippi Racer riding out, no shortcuts, no time for that. Mississippi Racer riding out till the wheels fall off, I'm driving that. Mississippi Racer riding out, we'll stop burning, strike the match. Mississippi Racer riding out, red light, green light, red light, good night. Ay, red light, green light, red light, good night. 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 Time to chill, don't sweat it.
What's up, everyone? It's time for victory, but it's time for Birds Deep. We will dissect this mess. I don't think there's any other way to describe it. Maybe there is more in harsh terms, but first let's go with the introductions. To my right, we got Mr. Cool McCain from Eagles Elite Podcast every Wednesday nights.
And so many other places.
And so many other places. And to my left, we got Mean Gene, who is on Wednesday nights as well. Wire to Wire and so many other places as well. I'm D. Godfrey, but we always have to kick this off with some anger. Gene, tell them who you are.
Mean! Woo! Gene.
Boom. Listen. Lots of questions. Lots of things to be figured out. Maybe, maybe not. That's the beauty of having three of us on the show. Most likely, at least two or three of us have a different opinion. It's rare we all agree at the same time on the same thing, and that's what makes a show interesting. You don't want to see a bunch of guys in a circle jerk saying like, "Hey, yeah, you're right, you're right, you're right."
I don't want to see a bunch of guys in a circle jerk, period.
Yeah. Well,
Right.
that too.
Agreed.
No Diddy. But sometimes we do agree. I think we're going to have a little...
There's a lot of Diddy.
Yeah, I think we're going to have a lot more in common on this show than usual. So let's crack this turd. We might as well just get right into the grades because, we know what's coming. Do we want to do defense, offense, or Jalen first? Who do we want to expose first?
I'm just here so I don't get fined.
You don't?
It
Okay.
doesn't matter to me.
Let's go with the defense first. Can we include special teams with defense?
No.
You
We
can
can't-
include whatever you want, sir.
So special teams is an overall coaching grade, I would assume.
Yes.
It doesn't.
Okay.
It doesn't change my grade at all.
Okay.
Nope, doesn't
Well,
change
let's
my
go.
view.
Let's go defense first. Cool. Why don't you kick us off with the festivities this week?
F. You stank. That was disgusting. Piss on you all. The only three people that I will say had a decent game: Quinyon Mitchell, Zach Bond. Actually, I think it's only two people. No, Reed Blankenship. He did have a decent game. Sorry.
Okay.
But F. Even when you included they had a decent game. F. Matter of fact, F minus.
F minus. Okay. I mean, I can't disagree with you there. Why did you give it such a bad grade? Cool. What did you see that inspired this?
Sugar Honey Iced Tea.
Okay.
At play calling, at execution, at tackling, at desire, at will, everything.
Yeah. Yeah. Can't argue with you there. What about you, Gene?
I gave them an F minus.
Okay. Well, why do you?
Man, you're not even saying anything. And Gene loves to talk. So
Well, I'll be clear when I say this, right?
Mhm.
When you have a situation where they open up the game, touchdown, you're out gained 254 yards to 0 in the first quarter and a half of an NFL game. When Baker Mayfield is dissecting you like prime Tom Brady, you get an F minus.
with the deflated ball.
With the deflated ball. Well, I felt deflated after that 14 point lead. Yeah, I feel the same way. F minus. There's just so much so wrong. And I think with Baker, I don't think it's hard. He's not the second coming of Joe Montana. You just have to kind of, give him a rush, get him off his spot, not let him feel comfortable. First, he was throwing at will, and it just was a quick 14-0. I knew at that point we were pretty much in deep, deep trouble. Okay. And I just didn't see anything really positive coming from the defensive side of the ball, from coaching, from playing, it's the block field goal, but we said that's on a different category. But nothing really. The tackling was poor. Avonte Maddox whiffed. That was pretty bad. There's just so many things here. And, makes me want to bring up questions, because we're really stating the obvious here when we're giving these bad grades and saying how bad it was. So let's dive into a few questions, if you will, about how do we move forward, right? What do we do with this? And I have a few questions, listen, is it the Fangio defense? Is it scheme, lack of adjustments in the scheme, or personnel? Like, what do we think it is? Is it a lack of talent? These are questions, not necessarily my thoughts that I'm proposing to everybody on the panel here and maybe in the audience. What do you think, Gene?
I think that the overall team has a poor mentality, and I think that it's not a scheme thing as much as it is a mentality thing. They went into that football game without Lane, without AJ, without Devontae. They went down 7-0 on the first drive. They went 3 and out again. They went down 14-0, and they mailed it in. And there was a lot of guys that mailed it in. And if you have 30% of your team, 20% of your team, 15% of your team quitting, that's too much. Business decisions were made. Missed tackles. We have 15 missed tackles in the football game. Tackling is not a can they do it. These are NFL players. This is a will to do it. The organization has issues as far as their overall want to. So it was pathetic, and I seen it coming a mile away.
Yeah. What about you, Cole? Do you concur?
Gene said a lot of the correct things. Pretty much, we can talk about scheme or any of that, but don't you talk to me about scheme or coaching on the defensive side of the ball when they mailed it in. That was one of the most disappointing performances I've ever seen as an Eagles fan. And not because they were outplayed, because there's been games where we played our hardest and the other team was just better.
Yep.
We played this game like it was the playoff game against them last year on the defensive side of the ball. Matter of fact, we looked even worse than that. And that's a disappointing thing for me. You can't coach a guy who's given up. You can't coach a guy who doesn't have any testicular fortitude. And I felt like a lot of the guys just didn't have that. I'd like to speak on one guy in particular, but I'm sure we will later. I call him DRD. I'm sure everybody else calls him Darius Slay. But definitely have some things to say about one of our quote-unquote captains. The one thing I will say now is that patch needs to come off of his jersey because he's not a captain.
Do you think he's more concerned about his podcast than he is the game?
I'd rather you put that patch on Quinyon Mitchell than Darius Slay. I'd rather you put it on Keely Ringo or Isaiah Rodgers, who ain't even playing right now, than put it on Darius Slay.
I feel like Quinyon didn't have a terrible game. I saw him make a few plays. If I'm trying to pick a positive out of it, but
I don't want to pick a positive. I don't want a positive from this game. I want to acknowledge the truth of it.
Maybe Darius Slay is more worried about his podcast. Well, we could get into that later, but yeah, I agree with you guys. Lack of a will to win, a lack of pride, nailed it in. I didn't see people, going into this season, there were some leadership questions on the defensive side with Fletcher Cox retiring, with Jason Kelce. He's on the offense, obviously. That's a different topic. And you know, you got BG there, great leader, but the man can only do so much. And I don't know. Huff did get on the stat sheet. Wow, I didn't know that. I must have missed it. I must have been like choking. So yeah. Darius Slay, not happy with him. And I just think he's more concerned about stuff that's not really pertinent to the team itself. I think his head is elsewhere. I don't think he's a good leader. You know what I mean? And I've never really felt like warm and fuzzy about him being a leader, but okay. You know, it's becoming more of an eyesore as things get negative. So, you know, I don't think it's scheme either. And I feel like if it's a veteran doing this, why don't we just put in the young players? You know what I mean? And I think that comes down to the coaching, as we'll go later on in the grades. But like, if you don't want to be on the field, put someone that wants to be on the field on there. I mean, if they're mailing it in, like, sit them. Put the third string in. I don't care. You know what stat sheet did he get a tackle? Or are you talking about a sack? I must have missed a sack.
No, I got tackled. That's the joke. It's joke. He's laughing because
yeah. I didn't see.
No, it's a joke, bro. They got it. He got on the stat sheet because he got one tackle on the edge on a run play. He sealed the edge on a run play. I was proud of him for
it. Well, yeah. Put him on the back of the milk carton. So we're gonna grade this offense next. Gene, I'll start you off on the offense.
I gave the offense. Well, so we're giving the offensive scheme and the play calling, right? Coaching, not Jalen Hurts, right?
Yeah, Jalen Hurts is a separate.
I give the offense scheme and play calling a D-.
Okay.
And I'll just be very clear when I say this. I don't care what the situation is, and I know that the Bucs came out in a 6-2, and they were committed to making sure Saquon Barkley didn't run the football, and they put pressure on Jalen Hurts. I understand that. It does not mean three drives into the game, Saquon Barkley had one carry. That's not how you. I don't care if you got to come out with 2-3. They played the game with 2-3 tight ends the whole time. And what is your scheme? What is your game plan all week? If you're running out Jack Stoll and Grant Calcaterra, why is Jalen Hurts not throwing the ball to the wide receivers that are on the field? And don't tell me they're not open, because I watched the All-22, and I'm telling you right now, Paris Campbell's open. Jahan Dotson is open. These guys
are have to watch the All-22. You can watch the regular broadcast to see those guys open.
He doesn't trust his wide receivers, and I don't know what they're doing all week in practice. Jalen, you have to throw your ball to the wide receivers. They completed more balls to Jack Stoll. Like, is this serious? Jack Stoll? And that's a game plan thing. That's a coaching thing. D-. You have to run the ball to Saquon Barkley. And listen, if you're going to play 3 tight ends, Goddard, Stoll, Calcaterra, just run, line up in goal line. Every play they play is 6-2 and run the ball.
Yeah.
I'd rather that than the bullshit I watched.
Yeah, I'm down with it. Cool. What say you?
F. You failed. You failed Jalen. You failed Saquon. You failed the fans. You failed each other. You failed everybody. F. You stunk at the play calling. There is not a game where Saquon Barkley should ever have under 17 carries. I don't give a hot monkey's nuts if we're up by 7 touchdowns or down by 7 touchdowns. The man is explosive if he gets the touches, but it can't be explosive if he's not getting the ball. Oh, and by the way, there's 2 other guys that play running back that you have on the roster. One I call Kenneth Gainwell and Will Shipley. Perfect opportunity in a game that was pretty much out of hand the whole time to at least get those guys in and see what they can do. But what do we do instead of any of that? What do we do? We're just going to throw the ball 40 times with a dual threat quarterback. Because that makes sense. That's how you win games. You freaking idiots.
Yeah. I just want to ask you guys a question, and just for fun. Defensively, and I get it. I understand. I'll say this every week. I'm not going to keep saying it, but the end-all be-all isn't PFF. However, anyone want to guess the lowest graded Eagles defensive player on PFF?
Well, Huff got a tackle, so it's probably not him.
Slay?
I'm going to say Maddox.
Not Slay. Slay was graded 5th.
I'm going to say Maddox.
Maddox is 15th out of 21 graded players.
Wow.
I'll give you a hint. He's the guy with the biggest mouth on the team.
CJ.
He was my second choice. Yeah.
CJ Gardner-Johnson, lowest grade, had a 42 grade.
Because he did get burnt.
He got burnt. He was burnt toast that whole game. Burnt toast.
Reminds me of Ballberry last year.
He had a 25.3 grade in tackling.
Yeah, Seth Joyner was talking about people wanting to tackle, and there are teams out there where cornerbacks do tackle, safeties are supposed to tackle, and I think Seth Joyner was dead nuts on about talking about that, and he's calling it slay. I don't think he's wrong at all, and there was business decisions being made definitely early on in that game by certain players, and I agree 100%. And the offense is also going to get an F from me. I think we're all pretty there. F and D- is in the same neighborhood. Yeah. Gene just wanted to give the D. So, but I listen.
Like the same joke every week. It's still not funny.
It's supposed to be subtle. When you bring it up, it's not. It's supposed to slide in.
Checker Fred allowed 10 pressures in the game.
Checker Fred. Yeah. I mean, listen. The Eagles don't have a good record without Lane Johnson, but that's not an excuse. Other teams have injuries. I didn't like the game plan. I do agree about getting more touches to Saquon. The drop by Goddard early on was a killer drop.
The overthrow when Hurts had Saquon wide open in the first drive. That hurt.
That hurt. Yep. Mm-hmm.
He threw that 5 seconds too late and way out of bounds.
We'll talk more about what I'm going to say about Jalen Hurts when we bring up a liner shoe. However, I agree with Cool and like, hey, let's not have the dual threat quarterback pass 40 times, right? Like, I do feel that he has to evolve and adapt as a quarterback, but I do feel that they're trying to make him something he's not. And I don't think I don't know if he's capable of the type of pass game this offense seems that they want him to have. I'm not saying he can't pass, but like, dude's got a lot of turnovers. And we're going back to last year and this year.
Well, see, I got to stop there. I hear this argument all the time, and either we're going to count everything from last year or we're going to shut the F up about last year. So if we're gonna blame him for when Nick Sirianni's stupid butt was mainly the plays we were using, I don't like the let's go back for what we want to go back for, but let's not go back for everything. Let's talk about we're in a new season. We're starting over fresh. We got a different team. We got different coordinators. But then we want to pull in everything from last season.
But that the last season's present because of the start we've had. I mean,
it's not.
I mean,
we don't have the same coordinators. We have
same coach.
Players. It's not. I'm tired of hearing about last season. Talk to me about what we're doing 2-2 this year. I don't want to hear how we're 10-2 in the last 11 games, but half of them were when the team gave up as a whole.
Didn't we say that this game reminded us of last year's game against the Bucs in the playoffs?
Defensively, it did. It didn't remind me of the regular season game against the Bucs when we beat their butt last year, but no one wants to talk about that one because that doesn't have we're 10-2 in the last, we're 2-10 in the last 12 games. Crap. I don't care about last year. Talk to me about what we're going to do to fix this year. Why do we keep talking about last year?
I mean, you kind of did bring it up. I mean, you did. You brought it up that their defense looked like the Bucs playoff game last year. I get what Godfrey's saying when he says that. Now, granted, going back to last year's regular season, I get it. I understand it's a different team. And you're right. It is a different team. And we do have to make that decision of whether we want to look at it through a scale of, is it Sirianni's team or is it the coordinator's team? But I will say this. Once again, I want to repeat, I wish he was fired in the offseason because you basically cut his balls off. And now you have two coordinators in there that are running the offense and the defense, and they don't communicate well with each other because the style and stylistically, you brought up something earlier in the show, Godfrey, where you talk about Vic Fangio adapting. I don't know why they weren't playing press man after the first two drives. They kept beating us with 4 or 5 yard passes. They made us tackle, and we didn't tackle.
You know why? Because Darius Slay, CJ, GJ, they can't cover when you get behind them. They get burnt. That's why.
Fair.
I mean, you think they saw on
I hate
film
to
that
say it,
they're
but that's the truth. The guys are getting burnt. Quinyon is the only one making plays. And Reed makes some of the plays, but he's not in there to cover like that, right? That's not his
Cooper
thing.
to Dean time then.
Well, Cooper DeJean needs to go into the slot because we need to get that dude out of the game.
Maddox.
We need to either move Quinyon to the side that Slay is on and put Isaiah Rodgers in, or put Isaiah Rodgers in where Slay is at. We need to get younger, and we need some dogs in there on defense. I'm tired of seeing these guys high-fiving, going on podcasts, having fun, smiling when we lose. If me and Gene are playing a game of poker online and he beats me, I'm pissed for 2 days. These guys get burnt and turn around 5 minutes later and they're laughing and smiling and dapping up people. Why are you even there? Why are they allowing these type of guys to be on the Philadelphia Eagles? I'm sick of seeing it.
And Vic Fangio is known for having a tough style defense, and it looks like he's not wearing off on them, or they're not wearing. And it's funny. What a tale of 2 weeks, because last week they did nothing but play press coverage and stack the line of scrimmage. And this week, I don't understand what the difference was. 108 degrees. It felt like those guys just didn't want to be there. And that's crazy.
I think that could be part of it too. I agree.
But they knew it was going to be hot going in.
I get it. And I felt like when they got down early, they quit.
I agree.
I feel like the book on the Eagles is get up on them early, they'll quit.
And unfortunately,
or they're not a fundamentally sound team.
They're making us look like the Cowboys, because that's what you do to the Cowboys.
Yeah, I mean,
I give the Cowboys credit. At least they try to fight to come back.
They finally fought, right?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I don't know what this affinity is about keeping Maddox out there. I don't know what more they need to see. It's not like he's signed to a big contract anymore. What do they have to lose by putting someone else out there like a Cooper DeJean in the slot, Gene? Like, what do you think the hesitation is?
Well, hesitation is Cooper DeJean was not ready. And when I was at live practice, he was getting cooked by Britton Covey. I mean, cooked, absolutely cooked every play. I don't think he was ready. I think he is ready now. And when you have that type of injury earlier in training camp, it takes a little while to recover. But I'll tell you right now, I guarantee he'll be giving more effort and having more speed towards the ball than what Avonte Maddox has given you. He just looks lost. And, bro, I'm so sick of the diving at the legs tackles. They're just stopping and watching. It's almost like Mario Kart when you drop the banana peel on them. Just stopping and sliding all over.
It's like I don't want to look like I'm not tackling, so I'm going to tackle where I don't have to worry about him hitting me.
Yeah, if you're going to do that, you best hit that tackle, right? I mean, like, he should know better. He's not a rookie, man.
Maddox got to sit.
Yeah, he's got to sit. I mean,
Slay, I wouldn't be mad if you sit him too, because he's more worried about laughing with her. I mean, you're not going to talk trash about my teammate, and I'm on your show. I don't care who you are. First of all,
facts.
I'm not going to be on a Cowboys fan show. First
facts.
of all, I'm not going to be on a Cowboys show during the season. I don't care if you're my best friend. During the season, you can eat a fat one. I'll holler at you when the season's over. When the season's going on, don't talk to me, don't text me, don't call me. Your wife don't call my wife. Your kids don't FaceTime my kids. We are not friends during the season.
Yeah.
Maybe the kids can talk, but you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I guess we'll get into coach right now. Did I give my grade? It was an F, right?
You did. So
we'll get into the special teams, man. What the F? What? Come on, man. All right.
You're talking about Isaiah Rodgers? Is that the play you're talking about?
Yeah. But it almost happened again.
I mean, right? They're coached that way.
That's the way
they're coached. He said it after the game. He's like, I've been in this league for years. That's the way I'm coached. He's coached to push the guy to draw the penalty. That's very rarely called.
Right. So it was just a free play. Was that more Cooper DeJean's fault for not catching the ball, knowing that was going to happen?
No, it's just a free play. I'll tell you what, the special teams to me, You say whatever you want. Keely Ringo had a block. They had a block extra point return for 2. Gave it a little life. I think the special teams wasn't terrible.
No.
Yeah, I give them like a C-.
I feel like
offense or defense by far.
Yeah. I feel like teams look at the Eagles and feel like certain parts of their team aren't fundamentally sound. And I think the coach, should he go? Should he not go? I know, Gene, you're probably like, yeah, get rid of him. But in this part of the season,
get rid of him since January.
Yeah. But at this point in the season, does it pay to get rid of him?
Yes.
What? Okay.
This is the perfect time to get rid of him. He should be fired this week. He won't be, but he should be.
So let's say they lose the next 2 games. You think he gets canned?
Yeah, 100%. They're 2-4. He's gone.
And Kellen Moore's the head coach. They're not going to do Vic Fangio. That
I think Vic Fangio will actually be the step-in head coach. Kellen Moore's not a head coach.
Nah.
Vic Fangio is head coach.
Or you could bring in someone. But here's the thing. You're
not going to be worth a damn at this point in the season. That's not
here's the truth of the matter. They don't want a head coach who has experience. They don't want a head coach who has his own will, wants to do things his own way, is not going to do whatever they say. So he's probably going to stay around just because it's going to be hard to find a yes man right now. They'll find their yes man next offseason. They'll scapegoat him for everything for this season and find their yes man next offseason. That's what I think. I mean, I would love for him to be gone right now.
If you do that, what you're doing is, and here's the problem. This is the whole issue why you should have fired him in January. Because if this season goes awry, guess what you're doing next year? You're hiring another head coach, another offensive coordinator, another defensive coordinator. And what do you like? You're introducing another brand new system to Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, I think you ride it out.
Fan base doesn't have enough understanding to understand that this dude has been in the system for 4 games.
He's been in a different system. This is not a joke, right?
Every year, except for the year we went to the Super Bowl.
Correct.
That's the only year he wasn't the same. He wasn't in a new system,
and that goes from college.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
two different offensive coordinators at Bama. Mm-hmm. Then he moved from Bama to Lincoln Riley.
Mm-hmm.
Lincoln Riley to the NFL. First year with Doug Peterson. Second year with Nick Sirianni, and Steichen for years 1 and 2 of him. They went to the playoffs the first year. They went to the Super Bowl next year. Steichen gets a head coaching job. Last year, Brian Johnson. This year, Kellen Moore. It's a lot of years to have a different system.
Yeah. I think what annoys me about Nick Sirianni, and I think firing him in the middle of the season is the wrong move. But if they did, they did. I think what bothers me about him is he is supposed to be, the CEO of the team, so to speak, and the culture manager, whatever you want to call him. He needs to sit some asses down, bench people, hold people accountable.
The first one he needs to sit down is himself.
Right, but so I don't know if he's going to be able to do that. But that's a good point you bring up, Cool, because maybe he doesn't command that respect from the players, and therefore it might fall on mute ears if he does that, right? So you could be in that situation where if it's that bad and they see that, I do think Jeffrey Lurie will dismiss him, right? If they see that on the inside, I do think that would happen. But to me, after a game like that, there's got to be some major corrections and there has to be some accountability, right? You should be starting someone over Avonte Maddox. Keely Ringo should be rewarded for his good special teams play, right? Like, I'd rather see the young kids in there. If Avonte Maddox is going to be getting cooked out there and not making tackles, put people in that are hungry dogs that want to play. I'm serious.
I think that
he's too much of a player's coach. That's the problem here, and they know how to play.
I've been a proponent for years, and we talked about this all last season. Why does Darius Slay play every snap at corner on that side? Right. This is a guy who, I'm not saying he gets injured and misses games, but he got hurt in the past 2 games and had to go out. Then you're going to ask Keely Ringo to come in, having not had a snap in the game, no flow of the game. And what are you going to do if a new cornerback has to come in the game halfway through the game? I mean, if you got any sense, you're going to target him on the first play. So my thing is, why can't Ringo come in for some plays for Slay?
Makes sense.
He doesn't have to play the whole game.
I don't see nothing.
If something happens, or you decide you need to bench him or move him later on, you've got a guy and you've seen what he can do on the actual field. But for some reason, our defensive coaches, I don't know if this is coming from above them or not, they stick with the same people for the most part. You get burnt, you stay in the game unless you're hurt. Like, give guy, and Slay's another guy. He's older, so I say once the guys start to get older, their backup should be getting reps. That's a belief I have, and we don't do it. And you can see it in certain situations. It's bad, and it's always the ones that cost us.
So do we? I don't think we gave a Jalen grade yet, right?
No.
No.
All right, so let's move on to the Jalen grade. Gene, how about you? You fling off here. Give your opinion on it.
I have to give him an F. I give him an F because he's not throwing the ball to the wide receivers. His accuracy, he's still getting beat on the same blitzes to the right side. He's still having issues with pressure from the right side. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers game plan was so obvious and so like what are you practicing during the week? I don't understand. They ran a 6-2 for the first quarter and a half. They put 6 people in the dirt. You're not running the ball. I don't know.
F. Cool.
I'm gonna give him a D. He probably deserves an F, but I'm gonna give him a D. I will say this: he's got to. I mean, I'm just gonna be honest. I think he's a little bit better than what he's being coached as. Right? He had a couple of solid drives. I also think that he's got to get to the point where he's back to being a Jalen. We see at times, we see glimpses of him. You'll see him look, oh, there's no play. Let me pull the ball down and run. Right. And it's like he does it like 1 or 2 times and then he just stops. So it's like he goes to the sideline and somebody's saying, hey, Jalen, man, you're running the ball, buddy. We're not really doing that, right? We're developing you as a pocket passer. Right. We're not going to do the whole running thing. So then he doesn't run anymore. I need my quarterback to understand who he is. And if you see this, Jalen, all I'm asking you to do, take the plays that are there. Kellen Moore, Silly Sirianni, the weird combo, whoever's overriding whoever, obviously it would be Sirianni overridden Kellen Moore. Whoever's calling the plays, slots, right? Crossing plays, slants, things that makes it easy to drop back quick, get the ball out. You got multiple routes. You can run people. You can run into people. You can run people off and get people open, right? Screen passes. Dallas Goedert is great on the screen if he gets blocks. He's not going to get you 50 yards every play, but he'll get you 5 to 7, maybe 10 yards if he gets a good little play. Go back to things that have worked in the past for this team in this offense, because this offense, for the most part, has been together. This is not a new offense, right? Dotson's new, Campbell's new, but you've got the same tight end. You got the same 2 outside starting wide receivers. You've got pretty much the same line. You got the same quarterback. So if things worked in the past, why can't they work now?
Yeah.
Jalen, stop letting them have you throw the ball 35, 40 times a game. You pump fake a couple of them and take off. Use your legs and get down or get out of bounds. You got to be better.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. I have to disagree with you. Jalen, if you're watching, please retweet our show. And share it to Instagram. That's more valuable to us. But listen, I got to give him an F too. And, I saw a stat, and when I see stats, I'm always wondering if they're true or not, but I saw a stat and it seemed plausible to me, but I don't know where they pulled that. It said something like he's 23-3 when he rushes the ball 9 times or more. Jalen Hurts is as a starter. And there's probably some truth to that. And I do think he has to be who he is. I think there's a little bit of identity crisis. I get the turnovers have to stop. He has to trust his receivers. And I know, I'll talk about this later on because I do think Eagles fans are a little out of line here, but he gets an F because Gene identified it. And, people are open. You got to take what the defense is giving you. And he's got to be better at that. The thing is, you see the abilities there, but for some reason, it just does not seem to click. And I don't know why. And I can't live in his head.
I have a question for you. All right.
Mm-hmm.
What's in a fight? What's more dangerous than a punch?
A kick,
a counter punch,
in
any type of fight. And I'll tell you right now, the guy that's leading with the jab isn't trying to hurt you. It's the guy that's waiting for you to stick your chin in for them to respond. Mm-hmm. Jalen Hurts threw a punch his first couple years in the league. He ran the football. He moved the football, and the counterpunch from the league was, okay, here's the scouting report. Contain on the outside. If you're going to let him roll, he has to roll left. That's been a counterpunch now for, I'm sorry, Cool, but for 12 games.
You can go back to last year. Yeah.
It's actually been more than 12 games.
No, because Buffalo had no idea. It started in the San Francisco game.
But that was because Buffalo was in shambles at the time. It wasn't necessarily they had the idea. They didn't have the personnel to do it.
Okay.
I would say about
the Chiefs game would be the one.
I would say about week 4 personally.
I disagree. And if you watch last year as a whole, they didn't run quarterback contained blitz from the right side. It was really started by Kansas City with Spagnuolo on Monday Night Football. And then it was really mastered by San Francisco when they played the 49ers. After they played the 49ers, it was ran by Dable, Wink Martindale. It was ran by, and listen, Jalen had that conversation with Wink.
The Jets did that too, sir. The Jets did that to him too.
The Jets ran zone.
That's why we lost to Zach Wilson.
The Jets ran zone defense versus
right, but what they
didn't run blitz right side.
Okay, well, what they did was they forced him to do what? They forced him to go right. Everybody knows you make him do everything to the right. If you're gonna make him run, you make him run to the right. You're gonna make him throw. If he comes out of the pocket, you're gonna go, his left, our right. Yes, that started with the Jets game, which is why we lost that game. Now, adding the blitz,
not blitz him at all in that Jets game,
right? But I'm not talking about the blitzing part. I'm talking about the philosophy part.
Okay,
they started that with saying, "Hey, we've noticed if you make him do everything to his left, our right, his left, that it's a lower percentage. Even if you don't blitz him, if you force him to that side, it's lower percentage. He's going to wait and try to make the big play down the field."
The game-ending interception was him running to his, our left and throwing. Was it what was it? The
game-ending interception was him dropping back 5 yards and throwing it to Quincy Williams, directly to him in zone coverage. Yes. It was one of the worst passes I've ever seen Jalen throw.
Yes. I was just saying that was when the philosophy started. And the blitz itself, you are correct, but the philosophy started weeks earlier. They just capitalized upon it to change it to the blitz because you could beat him if you just force him to the side until he learns how to say, okay, once I go to the side, if I know I'm not a strong thrower, I'm going to pump fake and I'm going to take off.
It was so bad watching Christian McCaffrey break down the Eagles offense on Monday Night Football. He was literally telling you what they were going to do.
Yep.
Every play.
So,
and we see some of that this year because they're still the idiot is still meddling in offense. He's got to get out.
It's like insanity, though. And until Jalen Hurts can respond or block the counterpunch, which is the make him roll left, contain quarterback, the Eagles' offense is just going to be what it is.
Right. So you turn around and hand the ball off more. You give him less opportunities. You want to cut down his interceptions, you get less attempts. Less attempts, less interceptions.
But you're masking the issue. And you're right. That's what you have to do to win games this year.
You got to win games.
Still masking the issue.
Yeah. At the end of the day, he's got to go. I said this yesterday. Jalen Hurts this offseason has to go find him a quarterback guru, like he did a year before we went to the Super Bowl, and say, hey, I know you've been watching me. Help me. That's what he has to do.
Yeah.
He has to take it upon himself to say if I want to reach the next level or not. And not, sit in press conferences, we got to be better.
You think he has it, though, bro? Do you think he has it?
He hasn't found the right one because he still has the same problem.
I'm asking,
does he have it in him to do that?
Do you think it's in him?
I know he's done it at least once.
Okay, but a lot of people that say it with a sense that he did it kind of hitting teams with the blind side. Shane Steichen kind of really helped that hit the blind side for you. Put the blinders on. Nobody really knew what was coming that year to Jalen Hurts. And a lot of people compare it to 2017 Carson Wentz. A lot of people didn't know what was coming. And when the league adjusted to these quarterbacks, they did not adjust. So my question is, do they have it?
So this begs another question that I wanted to ask you guys, and we'll lead right into this. At this point, are we on board or off board with Jalen individually?
What do you have better?
No, but
I'm serious. The answer to your question is, do you have a better option?
No, but what I get what
Okay,
you're
if you
asking,
don't
but
have-
I'm not
you
saying
don't
that
have a
that's not
better
my
option-
thought. I'm just asking in general what we individually think. Are
Okay.
we on board or off board?
My answer is, if you don't have a better option, then you should be on board.
Okay, Gene.
I'm still on board.
I'm still on board as
It's
well.
very tough for me to stay on board. Like I'm on, let's just say we're on a boat. I'm on like the outside of the rail. And
You're
if
on
someone
watch
comes
alert.
by and kicks me, I could fall off.
I'm in the middle of the boat with my feet up, drinking a pina colada.
No Diddy. All right, so
I ain't got no baby oil in it, so we good.
listen, I'm on board still, and I'm going to give you a reason why. And some people might not like this reason why. I think Eagles fans are for always ever a prisoner of the moment. Okay, I think there's reasons for concern. I think there's reasons to think he still has it in him. I personally am on board still because I think he does have it in him. You look at how many offensive coordinators he's handled adversity before in his career on the collegiate level. I think there's adjustments he has to make, but there are other quarterbacks that have gone through regression after having good seasons and having a lot of turnovers. Josh Allen's one of those guys. If you compare the numbers and take up the names away, I'm not saying they're the same guy. I think Josh Allen has a better deep ball, stronger arm. There's differences, but there's a lot of similarities. And Josh Allen has a lot of turnovers. I looked at it stat for stat. It's almost identical. Now, this year's different. This year's different.
Not since Joe Brady's been there.
Correct. Right. But I'm not.
And Jalen also doesn't make the plays that Josh Allen does.
Right. They're a different quarterback, but you're right. Since Joe Brady's been there, it has improved. Absolutely. You're 1,000% correct. But before Joe Brady, that wasn't the case. He had that really good season in 2020.
I disagree again. Brian Daboll had him playing really good football. You're
talking
about the Ken
2020
Dorsey year and a half. That's what you're talking about. The Ken Dorsey year and a half.
Yeah.
When was Brian Daboll to coach? Wasn't it 2021 was his first year?
I believe for the Giants, yeah.
Correct. Okay, so then we'll start from 2021 and not count the Brian Daboll year. 15 interceptions, 4 fumbles. No, I'm sorry, 5 fumbles. The next year, 14 interceptions in 2022, 8 fumbles. Okay, 18 interceptions in 2023, and 5 fumbles.
One in the last 6 games of the season.
Correct.
Over to Joe Brady.
He's course corrected, and they had a different coordinator. So,
how's he doing this year?
He's doing better. And
what is it? How many interceptions? 1?
I'm looking right now. So far this year, he has 0 interceptions.
Okay. How many fumbles?
1 fumble.
So 1 turnover. And 1 turnover in the last 6 games of last year.
Yeah. I'm not saying that Josh Allen's bad. I'm saying he has gotten better. And I think Jalen Hurts can get better. After he had a really good season before all those seasons I just brought up. 37-10 was that season with Brian Daboll that catapulted Brian Daboll to a head coaching job. Okay. And then there was whispers of Josh Allen's good, but he turns the ball over a lot. And then halfway through the season, what did they start doing? Running the ball more, not having to pass as much, right? And then look what happened to the Bills when they got behind early and they got obviously their defense is very, very, very down. And then he had to start passing the ball, and lo and behold, it doesn't look good, right? And so my point is that I do think there's hope for Jalen Hurts based off that progression right there. I do think there's hope. I don't know if it's going to be Kellen Moore. I don't know who it's going to be. Really, I can't tell you who's going to be the coach next year. There might not be any of these guys that are on the team at this point. Who the hell knows?
Vic will probably be there because whoever they bring in as head coach. Because here's the thing.
I think Vic will be there. I think you're right about that.
They're going to bring in a guy that they can control. That's what Philadelphia does.
Fangio wants to retire here too. Yeah, he's from Dunmore, PA. He's a PA guy. He wants to retire here. I'm telling you, Vic will be here. You're absolutely right. And anybody coming in that's a head coach, unless it's someone really, really high profile, isn't going to look at Vic Fangio and be like, yeah, I don't want him as my D coordinator.
Yeah, but the problem with that is, bro, Vic Fangio is better get more effort out of that defense. You can't.
I agree.
15 missed tackles and expect to keep your job. That's an effort thing. That's
I
a
agree.
real thing.
100%.
If a team doesn't rebound in the NBA, what do we say? Oh, it's an effort thing.
It better not continue. I mean,
I agree 100%.
I'm gonna say this about Jalen. We do have to take those things into account. What I'd also say is, especially in a game where he doesn't have his top 3 wide receivers. I understand he overthrew some guys, but you only get a week of practice with a lot of those guys, right? John Ross just got off the practice squad. Campbell only played the week before a little bit. Dotson played a little bit the week before. So I think there's a lot of, Jalen Hurts this and he overthrew this, he overthrew that. That's true, but it was to a lot of guys who he doesn't have the same camaraderie with. Now, should he not worry about what number it is and just throw the ball? Absolutely. That's something he's got to work on and develop. But at the same time, when you have a lot of backups and that's who you have to throw to, missing passes is going to happen. That's the coordinator or whoever the heck is calling plays or this dual play calling, whatever they're doing. It's up to them to say, we know the situation. We got to run the ball more. And they didn't do that to help him. That's the biggest issue.
Can I ask you a question, Cool?
Sure.
And I mean this when I say it, right? And I don't know the answer. This isn't like a rhetorical question. This isn't me asking for a lead. If a defense, and this happened with Kansas City twice now against Baltimore.
Mm-hmm.
Kansas City ran a front in which it's basically like you're told when you see that front, don't run into that front because they're stacked against the run.
Mm-hmm.
When Tampa Bay stacked against the run and they're running a 6-2, do you still run into that front?
A couple of times. You try some misdirection. You got John Ross back there. He's fast. Try end around. Do something besides ask your quarterback to drop back and throw the ball 40-some times. Like, come on. Like, I get what you're saying.
He threw it 30 times. It was 18-30. And you're right. He definitely
I'm
threw
exaggerating. I'm exaggerating.
No, I get it. It's fine. I get what you're saying. But my question is, we're telling our quarterback to not run a play call that dictates what the defense is giving them.
Well, there's a lot of times, too, when he's in the pocket, right? Because I consider him a runner, too. So when he's in the pocket and the pocket breaks down and he has lanes and he doesn't go, those are run plays that we're not doing.
Okay.
I consider those run plays, too. I don't like called runs. And I think I've said this before, but just for clarification purposes. I don't like called runs for my quarterback unless it's like the brotherly shove, tush push, whatever you want to call it. Other than that, I would prefer that you take the opportunities that are there because you're not setting up for the run. The defense is not setting up to stop you. You run the ball until they have to say, hey, you know what? This dude keeps running the ball. So there's something we need to do. We need to put a spy on Jalen Hurts that takes someone else out of the secondary. Now you get more guys, have more room to make plays.
I just wish I'd seen a little bit more creativity in the play calling. Like, I don't, maybe a trick play, maybe something where you're
lamenting that for what? Since we've been lamenting that since what you call it left.
Well, I get it, but I think a way to really stop a 6-2 type style defense is you have all those guys at the line of scrimmage, and you said it right with the misdirection, but like, man, a wide receiver pass, like a screen pass to a wide receiver who throws the football. I know a reverse, getting everybody running one way, running the other.
A flea flicker will work.
Just being able to have some creativity in the offense.
So Cool. You were saying that like he's not comfortable throwing to his current receivers outside of AJ Brown. I'm guessing Devontae Smith.
He actually developed a real good thing with Kofi before he got hurt. He was throwing him the ball at a high rate. I'm saying the guys that he has right now that are out there, you can tell he doesn't have the same level of comfort. You also have to understand the way the receivers run. Yeah,
but should he be able to get past that? Shouldn't he be able to get past that?
In a week,
that's not the question though.
I don't think in a week you can get past that when you don't have, because you're not playing games with these guys, right? This is not the starting 3 that we expected to see. So what I'm saying is, if Jahan Dotson is running the ball down the field in AJ Brown's position, you're loose to loft that ball up. And let's be honest, half of the throws that AJ Brown catches that AJ Brown makes are not great throws. He's just athletic enough and good enough to go get the ball, whether he should be able to or not. A lot of the Devontae Smith passes out of the slot from the other side, they're not the best throwing balls. That's why he doesn't get yacked. He might get 10 yards, drag his feet, and get out because he has to make a spectacular catch.
So you're saying they're trust throws because he knows that they're going to go get him.
To an extent, what I'm really saying is his accuracy has never been the greatest 100% of the time. So when you've got guys that you have that rapport with, if I throw this ball at this spot, this is where they like it. Now, he may not be able to get yards after it if it's not accurate, but they're still going to make the catch. With Jahan Dotson, maybe not, right? Paris Campbell, maybe not. John Ross, maybe not. So
but shouldn't they have a scheme set up for that? Like, yo, coach, I don't know if I'm comfortable doing this play with this guy. Maybe we should have something set up where we can audible to a run in a situation where I don't see a coverage I like. Or we could do like he can't just be dead in the water if he sees something, right?
I'm not disagreeing with that, but maybe they didn't put that in. I would assume. That's glaring. I mean, I'm not saying that they shouldn't. I feel like every time you're playing against a team, there should be a run play as one of your audibles. Like if you have 3 audibles or 4 audibles on your wrist, one of them should be a run play. I mean, everybody should be able to run that run play out of the current formation. I think a big thing is if you're doing a pass play, you got everybody split out wide, right? You got one back in the backfield. If you audible to a running play and then everybody compacts, you're audible into a running play. If you audible and stay in the same formation and you're audible to a running play, that running back be able to get the ball and do something with it, especially a guy like Saquon Barkley who can break anything.
Yeah,
I think the problem is we need to be more unique. Like Gene's saying, I get what Gene's saying. Be more unique. We have to start showing people, hey, we'll do something outside of the box on you. We're not just going to try to run the ball with you up the middle or outside, throw the ball deep, maybe a pass or 2 in the middle, and then
I haven't seen a wildcat. I haven't seen a weighted line. I haven't seen like an uneven line, being able to put like an extra tackle on the left side. Big people push around little people. I don't something.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Something.
So would it be safe to say that a lot of people were talking about his pocket awareness wasn't good and things of that nature during the game and after the game?
It wasn't.
It wasn't. And I agree it wasn't. Right. It wasn't. But we're talking about his comfortability and trust. Would it be safe or to question his comfortability and trust with Lane Johnson not there? Right. I mean, it's been well documented.
Run the ball.
Mm-hmm.
If you feel like you don't have as much time because Lane Johnson's not there, a couple of reads, they're not there. Run the ball. Don't sit in the pocket and pump fake and then let them catch you for a fumble. Yeah. Run the ball.
Yeah. It's for me, I'm still on board with Jalen, but it's definitely on. I'm watching. I'm on watch alert. I'm
glad you're on board, brother. I'm glad you're on board. I
thought I wasn't.
No, I think the players love Sirianni, and I disagree with this. I think that's the biggest issue. And I think they love him because he allows.
He's a player's coach. Too much of a player's coach.
He allows a lot.
Listen, man, that shit issues. Would not happen.
And then if you still can't do, this is what I said. It's the last thing I said about Jay. Fix the issues, and then if it's still happening, you fix the issues. You call the right type of plays. You give him that playbook. You allow him a little bit more freedom. You run the ball more. We're still having the same issues. Then we need to have a different conversation.
Yeah, this is the age in the NFL. Like back in the day when you watch football, a quarterback would come in and be like, he doesn't fit the system. Throw him out. That's not football anymore. You curtail your system to your quarterback.
And that hasn't been done since.
Correct. And that's old school football. That's not how football works these days, right? You have to curtail it to your quarterback's talents. And there's teams that have done that. Like, is it a mistake that they're running the crap out of Derrick Henry in Baltimore? Like, you know what? We're going to run the ball when we can and shut it down. We're going to impose our will on defenses when we can.
And when he's not running the ball, Lamar Jackson's running the ball.
Right. So, I mean, listen, it's I don't know. I think he's too much of a player's coach. Even Doug was a player's coach, but there would be a certain point where Doug would draw a line when he was here.
Nick's got more wins than Doug this year.
That's true.
Doug's not doing a very good job down there in Jacksonville. So
he's not.
He's not. But I'm talking about the Bengals game. I don't know, guys, you remember that game.
From their mistakes. Press Taylor.
He's
Press Taylor is.
I agree. Harder for being fired from the Eagles. I'm gonna say that.
Yeah, Press Taylor. Like, yes.
Guys,
come on.
We got it. But we have only a couple minutes left, I'm not going to miss the opportunity.
Well, I was about to jump in a counterfeit green for you.
Yeah. Well, can I start?
Launch.
I am not in this modern day NFL where we have Darius Slay posting his stats after a game on Twitter about how great his career has been, and then going on Micah Parsons' podcast, a guy that was just in a Twitter battle with your teammate. And you hop on his podcast, and then that topic, bro, even if you hopped on that podcast, that's so bad. You don't tell him beforehand, like, dude, that topic does not get brought up. Do not bring that topic up on this unless you're apologizing. Then they bring up the topic, and he laughs, and he says, and this is a direct quote, he said, he talks a lot, so he's got to back it up. Now, I mean, you could relate that he backs it up with his play, or he talks a lot, so he better not back it up. That's not a captain. That's not my captain. That's not who I want to wear a C.
Take it off.
That's not a leader. Leaders don't go fraternizing with the enemy. Bro, I'm not kidding with you. I don't care how stupid this sounds. I have a guy on my softball team, a guy that plays for me on softball. He gets pissed off if our team is joking around with the other team during the game. He goes, joke around before the game, joke around after. Don't joke around with them in the middle of the game. Don't talk to them.
I'm kind of the same way.
And that's softball. This is professional football in which you get paid millions of dollars. It's not funny. You posting your stats online of what you did throughout your career, you've been a great cornerback throughout your career. You're not great right now. As a matter of fact, a rookie's a lot better than you this year. Your time's starting to go. The time is up. The time is now. You can't see me.
I'll just piggyback what you say, because that was going to be my counterfeit green as well. I have a feeling Cool was going to be going into that direction as well. I could be wrong, but to me, you know, I like to listen to what a lot of people have to say that are former players on that subject, right? What they would do in the locker room if that went down. And I was listening to Hugh Douglas, and he was like, I would have a problem with him. I would have a big problem with him. You know what I mean? And, you know, he should have a problem with him. CJ should have a problem with him. Okay. And the veteran leadership in that locker room should have a problem with Darius Slay about doing that, because that is dog shit captainship. 1000%. Like, you're coming off a loss. You're back there like it's a country club, you know, showing your resume. You know what your resume doesn't have? A championship. Okay. Cool. You have to leave that loser mentality in Detroit where you were at before. Because this shit's not allowed here. Like that fans are going to get on you when you want to puff your feathers in Philadelphia when you're not the shit. Okay. You got burned against the Falcons like a rookie for the game winning touchdown, like a rookie. And then you want to, after a loss that was awful, where you got blown out. I saw someone put in the comments, and I don't know how true it is. They said Barkley canceled media events because he didn't think it was appropriate after the loss. I don't know if you guys know if that's true or not, but if Barkley did that, good on him. Maybe he should be, you know, stepping up more as a leader. And I have a feeling he is and will be, because that, to me, it's inexcusable, man. Like that, dude, like that's, and this is where Sirianni has not my vote of confidence. He needs to say something to him about that type of shit. Imagine if he did that on a Bill Belichick team. In fact, he probably would have been benched already if he's on a Bill Belichick team, to be honest.
He would have never been put on the Bill Belichick team. My counterfeit green is very simple. My counterfeit green is the Philadelphia Eagles, the players and the coaches. Y'all were counterfeit green this past week. That was not the Philadelphia Eagles team that I know that I support. Y'all were counterfeit. That's my counterfeit green.
All right, well, gentlemen, it was not a good show, Birds Deep. Any final thoughts? 6:59. We are at time. Any final thoughts?
You can't say the weather was a reason for you playing poorly if you knew it was going to be fucking hot.
They quit.
Yeah.
Follow me on Facebook, all my social medias. And if you go to that little link below, you can see all the places that you can find me.
Appreciate you tuning in. Appreciate you guys tuning in to Birds Deep this week. We'll be on Sideline to Sideline in just 10 minutes, breaking down the NFL action, breaking down the Thursday night football game. Appreciate you guys, and Godfrey closes out.
This is Cool, Gene, and the Godfrey not saying goodbye, just saying take it Birds Deep.
No, did he?